Hello, my name is Mike Florin, and I'm the owner of Low Cost Mortgage. Rates are down today. They're down a little bit yesterday, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday they were up. Well, we're going to go into a little bit of a deeper dive, but still keep it really surface level and simplified for everybody as to why. Now, with mortgage-backed securities, it's a supply and demand of money, right? The more money that gets put into investing into mortgage-backed securities, the lower rates become. The lower rates are. Why? Because there's more money there and people want their money tied up so they can get a return on their investment. There's also an assumption to that. And again, this is an oversimplification. But the assumption is when you get a mortgage loan, you're only going to have it for 7 to 10 years. Rarely does anybody have a mortgage loan for 30 years, except for those individuals that locked in really good rates in the last 2-3 years. They're probably going to keep those mortgages for a longer period of time. You might be surprised how many refinances we're doing with people that, again, they want to pull money out, they want to do something with that money, and it just makes sense to refi out of the low rate. Maybe their balance is low or whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? But typically the mortgage-backed security is going to be around for about 7-8 years or so. So that's the assumption. Anyways, that pool of money that gets invested into mortgage-backed securities also goes to other places. It goes to the 10-year treasury and the stock market. So to overly simplify it, the same pool of money is going to get bounced around the stock market, the 10-year treasury, mortgage-backed securities. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means if the stock market is having a bad day and the stock market is lower on value, some of that money is going to go to mortgage-backed securities and the 10-year treasury. Well, if the stock market's down and the 10-year treasury is down, that means mortgage-backed securities is most likely going to be down. And that's what we're seeing on Thursday and Friday. So it's always pressure. Stock market down, downward pressure on mortgage rates. 10-year treasury down, downward pressure on mortgage rates. So everything is kind of pressure. Nothing ever really is interacting on a one-to-one basis. But there's a good indicator, and that is going to be the 10-year treasury. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Look at these charts here. On my right shoulder is MBS, mortgage-backed securities, for the last 30 days. Over my left shoulder is going to be the 10-year treasury. And if you notice, they move in opposite directions. All right, so when the T-bill goes up, mortgage-backed securities looks like it's going down. Well, what you're not realizing, what a lot of people don't know, is the mortgage-backed security chart is payout. So if the payout's going down, rates are going up. And if the payout is up, rates are going down. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take this chart over here and I'm going to flip it upside down, right? There you go, animation, whatever I did. So now you're going to see it where the 10-year treasury on my left side is correlating now to the MBS over the same period of time. 10-year treasury goes up, rates go up. 10-year treasury comes down, rates go down. And that's why when you notice in our emails, if we do compare the 10-year treasury or the MBSs together, or we show you the MBS chart, we're going to flip it upside down. That makes it so it's just easier to follow, it's easier to understand for somebody who's not in the numbers all of the time. So that's kind of an oversimplification or kind of a generic description as to mortgage-backed security rates and why they go up or down, and why in this industry we look at the 10-year treasury. But you got to remember everything's pressure. So if good news happens for the economy, typically rates go up because good economy is bad for rates. And if the Fed, if they're anticipating the Fed to increase rates because of something happening, like, for example, the jobs report comes out and then there's less unemployment than what's expected, well, that's good for people working, but that's bad for inflation. Therefore, they anticipate a rate increase, so then you'll see mortgage-backed securities go up. So everything's got some pressure to it. But the 10-year treasury is a really good indicator of to where rates are going to be, which is why we compare the 10-year treasury against mortgage-backed securities. It's kind of a simple way of looking at where the trends are and roughly what's going to be happening. All right. Now, highlight of the week. Okay, so I beat another mortgage lender by 2.5 percentage points for the same cost. It was stupid. Another one was about 0.75 percentage point, a little bit closer on that one. But apples to apples, we are going to beat everybody, it seems like. And I'm not legally allowed to say we're going to beat everybody. because it's impossible to say every single time, 100% of the time, you're going to beat somebody. But chances are we're going to end up, one realtor said, we beat the brakes off of the other lender, right? So if you want a good comparative quote for any of your borrowers, have them give us a call, talk to me, Tom, David, Alexis, Matt. I mean, just call up, work with any loan officer you feel like working with. But at the same time, if your borrowers are shopping around, it's probably a really good idea to at least send them somewhere that you can communicate with. They can do a good job on the loan, etc. So anyways, Mike Florin, have a great day. Talk to you later.